Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at your your next section of graphing quadratic functions. So a quadratic function is a parabola when it's graphed, and a parabola is symmetric across a line that we call the line of symmetry here. And so it's symmetric on each side of the line of symmetry. Okay, so I'm going to erase that. Let's draw a better line. Oops. And on that line of symmetry is what we call a vertex, which is the highest or the lowest point of the graph. Okay. In order to make a parabola, I need 3 points. I need the vertex, what we call the vertex, which is the highest or lowest point. And then I need either the y-intercept or a symmetric point, or I need 2x-intercept, so I need something else. And so we're going to go ahead and go through some graphing things, okay? So here, first thing I'm just going to start off with is just having you guys identify what the line of symmetry is, what the vertex is, what the y-intercept is, and then describe whether or not if the graph has an a that's bigger than 0, then the graph opens upward. And if a is less than 0, then the graph opens downward. Okay, so we're just going to describe everything that's here. So first, my line of symmetry, or what we call the axis of symmetry. So if I have my line here, and I guess I could draw this better. Let's just do a straight line here. So that is my line of symmetry. So it goes through x is equal to -2. So any vertical line is of the form x equals something. And so in this case, it's x equals -2. And then my vertex lies on the axis of symmetry. Having a problem writing tonight. So my vertex is -2, comma, some sort of y value, which in this case, the vertex is down here, which is at -9. Okay, the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. And so the y-intercept is a coordinate point. So don't just put the value of -5. It's actually 0. There's no value of x, comma, -5. And then in this case, because I open upward, my a is bigger than 0. Okay. Since the graph opens up. Okay. So now, axis of symmetry again. Okay. And here's my vertex. So my axis of symmetry is x is equal to +2. My vertex is the value of the axis of symmetry, comma, in this case, 16. And then my y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So that is here at my +12, so 0, comma, 12. And then because my graph opens downward, my a has to be less than 0. Okay. Okay, so that's example 2. So now, first thing I gave you was the graph, and now what I want you to do is I want you to actually create the graph for me. And so there's ways to find the line of symmetry. So the line of symmetry, and I flipped back to the page because it says it here. To find the line of symmetry, it is the b term divided by 2a, and everybody is negative. Okay. And there should not be this little weird dot guy. Let's see. Let's go undo. Let's get rid of this. It's a period right here, but it shouldn't. It looks like a weirdo, like exponent. Okay, so this is how to find my line of symmetry, which is also how to find the x value of your vertex, because the vertex lies on the axis of symmetry. Okay, so to find my axis of symmetry, I take x is equal to negative b over 2a. So this is negative 2 over 2 times 1. So I get negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So that means that at negative 1, I have my axis of symmetry. Okay. So if my x coordinate of my vertex, so x is equal to negative 1. So if x is equal to negative 1, and that's my x coordinate of my vertex, to find my y coordinate of my vertex, so my x coordinate is negative 1. To find my y coordinate, I'm going to plug in my negative 1 in for my x's. And then I'm going to solve. So I get 1 minus 2 minus 6. So I get negative 7. So my vertex is negative 1, negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we will mark the axis at negative 7. We should also mark the axis at negative 1. And then I need to figure out my y-intercept. My y-intercept, oops, I cannot spell, sept, is when x is equal to 0. So if I take my equation and I plug in 0 in for all of my x's, it is just the c term, which in this case is negative 6. So 0 comma negative 6 is my y-intercept. Now, what I told you guys before is that this is symmetric across the axis of symmetry. So if I have my coordinate point of 0, negative 6 here, then I should also have a symmetric point. So that is my symmetric point. On the other side of the axis of symmetry. Okay, so then I play connect the dots. And my graph looks something like this. Okay. I can do another one. In this case, I have a coefficient in front of my x squared term. So my axis of symmetry is negative, x is equal to negative b over 2a. So negative 8 over negative 4, which is a positive 2. So x is equal to 2 is my axis of symmetry. And that's also the x coordinate of my vertex. So I have 2 comma somebody, so I have to plug this in. Y is equal to negative 2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 2. So I get 8 plus 16 minus 2, so 24 minus 2, which is 22. So my vertex is way up high. So I should probably count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I should probably count by, I don't know, threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. So then 22 is probably right about here. So that is my vertex. And then my y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So it's 0 comma somebody. Y is equal to negative 2 times 0 squared plus 8 times 0 minus 2. So I get negative 2 as my y-intercept. So this is negative 3 down here. So my y-intercept is right about there. And then if I'm 2 away from my axis of symmetry going to the left, then I have to also be 2 from my axis of symmetry going to the right. And this is my graph of my parabola. And it is upside down, which makes sense because my a value is -2. Okay. All right, so that is it for this lesson.